Welcome to 9-Minute History, the series where I explain a country's history in 9 minutes. Today's episode is about the history of Russia. Let's begin. Around 40,000 years ago, humans first settled in Russia. The ancestors of most Russians were the Eastern Slavic tribes. The Eastern Slavic tribes slowly spread across Russia, assimilating the local Finnic tribes. In the year 882, the Slavic tribes united into the first Russian state, the Kievan Rus. The people of the Kievan Rus further explored their surroundings, trying to find large bodies of water that they could use to set sail, trade, and pillage other kingdoms. To the south, they found the Black Sea. To the north, they found the Arctic Ocean, which was mostly useless due to it being frozen every season except for summer. And to the west, they found the Baltic Sea. The Kievan Rus traded with Scandinavian Vikings in the Byzantine Empire. In 988, Russia adopted Orthodox Christianity, which caused the Russian language to be influenced by Greek and Latin. Nomadic Turkic people from the steppes of Central Asia regularly attacked and raided the Kievan Rus, especially in the southeast. The Kievan Rus began to fragment around the year 1200 because of fighting between the states that ruled it collectively. The Kievan Rus broke up into the Grand Duchy of Vladimir in the northeast, Novgorod in the north, and the Kingdom of the Rus in the south, which later became a vassal of the Golden Horde, which we'll talk about later. In the year 1223, the Mongols invaded Russia and burnt the cities down there, creating a dark age for Russia. The Novgorod Republic in the north was hit the least hard by the Mongol invasion and flourished by the late 13th century. During the Mongol occupation of Russia, due to the destruction of older towns, new cities sprung up, such as Moscow, Tver, and Nizhny Novgorod. As time passed, the Mongol Empire fell apart, and the Golden Horde, descendants of the Mongols, ruled Russia from 1260 to 1480. The Golden Horde's grip on Russia slowly but surely weakened, and the Russian states became fully independent in 1480, though some states became fully independent in 1380, such as the Grand Duchy of Moscow, which greatly expanded its territory through purchase, war, and marriage. The first rulers of the Grand Duchy of Moscow were titled Grand Princes up until 1547, when the rulers of Russia were titled Tsar, or Tsar of all Russians. One of the first and most popular, but not in a good way, as evident by his name, was Ivan the Terrible. Ivan the Terrible began large wars, expanding the territory of the Grand Duchy of Moscow, but causing mass starvation and creating purges. In a brief period from 1606 to 1613, the Grand Duchy of Moscow had no czar, and the country was engaged in many wars. After the wars came to a close, the National Assembly was created, with representatives from all of Russia, even some peasants. They elected Michael Romanov to be king of Russia, founding the Romanov dynasty, which ruled the Russian Empire until its collapse. Under the rule of the Romanov dynasty, the Grand Duchy of Moscow became the Russian Empire, and the Russia expanded past the Ural Mountains and into Siberia. In between 1720 and 1795, the Russian population doubled from 15 million to 37 million, due to the growth of Russian territory in relative peace. In 1703, Peter the Great founded St. Petersburg, the capital of the Russian Empire. The Russian Empire in 1855 extended from Poland to Alaska. In 1853, Russia invaded the Ottoman Empire alongside Prussia, Austria, France, and Britain, beginning the Crimean War, which Russia's side won, but despite that, Russia suffered large amounts of damage, and unrest was growing. In a desperate attempt to modernize, in 1961, the Tsar abolished serfdom. Serfdom was created in the early Middle Ages, and many peasants were under serfdom, which meant that they were slaves and were owned by their landlords. In 1914, World War I began, when the heir to the Austrian throne was killed by a Serbian, which caused Austria-Hungary to attack Serbia. Because Serbia is Slavic, just like Russia, Russia declared war on the Central Powers and got involved in World War I. Germany invaded Russia and pushed into the Russian heartland, which caused unrest and famine. Soon, the Russian Revolution in 1917 began. Workers quit their jobs and took to the streets. Vladimir Lenin, who was previously exiled to Switzerland, went back to Russia and started a civil war between the Red Communist Army and the White Monarchist Army. 2 wars was too much to handle for the White Army, so the Russian Empire signed a peace treaty with the Central Powers. Even so, the White Army was not in condition to fight any wars, and in 1922, the Russian Empire lost the war in the Soviet Union with Joseph Stalin in charge was proclaimed. Joseph Stalin rapidly industrialized Russia, because during the reign of the Tsars, the country was not nearly as industrialized as its European neighbors. Stalin also began a series of purges, executing anyone who seemed opposed or could become opposed of the Soviet Union, causing the death of millions of people. In 1939, the Soviet Union and the German Reich made a secret agreement to split up Poland. When Germany declared war on Poland, the Soviet Union soon followed. After disagreements over land, Finland declared war on the Soviet Union, which ended in a stalemate in 1940. In 1941, Germany betrayed the Soviet Union and invaded it, reaching as far as Moscow, the Soviet Union's capital. Somehow, the Soviet Union pushed back to Berlin. The Soviet Union pushed the Germans back to Berlin, their capital, and the Allies agreed to split Germany up. The Allies' relations with the Soviet Union began to sour when the Soviet Union blockaded Berlin from getting any resources that weren't shipped from Russia or built in the city. This began the Cold War, which included the Korean War and the Vietnam War. After Stalin's death, Russia slowly became more open to Western ideas, and in 1989 stopped occupying East Germany and other countries after multiple revolutions. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed into 15 sovereign states, the largest being Russia. Russia's first president was Boris Yeltsin, and its second president is Vladimir Putin. That pretty much sums up Russian history. Thank you for watching.